Hey, what's up guys? It is I, Mark Yoon, and today I bring another hopefully exciting video. So what I want to talk to you about today is something to do with Algol. Now, it's come to my attention a lot of people still believe Algol is a hero, and I kind of wanted to play devil's advocate for a little bit and argue both sides of the totem and try to see like if we can specify like exactly what occurred in the Hero King's life to actually make him become Algol. And obviously this may be explained away in Soul Calibur 7 via probably the encyclopedia or something, because they're not going to actually directly tell us anything like that. Soul Calibur rarely ever gives us alliteration like that outside of the museum. So what I want to specifically talk about is a few of my, I guess, hypotheses as to how things happened and what is actually going on with Algol, being that like a lot of it's actually not explained. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was his manipulation by Soul Edge. Now, everyone seems to think about Soul Edge and Soul Calibur in a kind of black and white way, being that like one is good and one represents evil. This is actually not the case at all. You can see both swords using both tactics, like the same tactics as each other to try and get their way to attain power. Soul Calibur claims to want utopia, which doesn't necessarily mean peace. So utopia also, like most of the time, is like shown in conjunction with like authoritarianism. So like nobody has like really free will or free reign to do anything, because like where there is free will, there's problems. So obviously Soul Calibur is using the heroes to get her goals. She's manipulated them countless times. She's even kind of cloned herself as Elysium using Sophitia in a similar fashion that the Soul Edge cloned Siegfried to create that version of Nightmare. There's countless instances of both sides just doing horrendous, horrible things and using horrendous manipulation tactics just to their own end. I've talked about it before when it comes to like the shadow figures and stuff. Like Soul Edge and Soul Calibur both have this way of like seeing into your soul, especially if you've wielded the sword before, and using your greatest fears or hopes and dreams against you, like bringing somebody that you trust. Like in the case of Sophitia, I believe that the goddess she was speaking to was actually an incarnation of Soul Calibur. I mean, we could think it's actually the real Greek god, but I mean, at this point, seeing from what Soul Edge and Soul Calibur are capable of, I don't think either are good, nor completely evil, I guess I want to say. So anyway, the backstory of the Hero King from the past timeline, and may still be the current backstory depending on what happens in 7, is Algol like loses his son, right? And then like he tries to create Soul Calibur as a way to defeat Soul Edge or something. So this is where I think in lies the problem. Like the Hero King was shown to have a love towards his son, so obviously that means there's some good in him, I guess. And even though like love doesn't necessarily equal good in all instances, because you can do things evil on behalf of love, same, whatever. We're not getting into a moral philosophical debate right now. But so when Algol is very easily manipulated at this point because he's frantic, he doesn't know what to do, his emotions are completely astir. Soul Edge, I believe, manipulated him into creating Soul Calibur. Now, you're maybe asking yourself, why would Soul Edge do that? Soul Calibur is the antithesis to Soul Edge. Not necessarily, because if you see, and if you read not only the Wikipedia, but the back encyclopedias from the previous games, when Soul Edge, or Soul Calibur rather, was wielded by Algol, he actually merged with the sword, and his essence went into the sword. This is said in Soul Calibur 5, when he actually battles against Mitsurugi. You can hear the entire backstory. I believe it might be in the encyclopedia of that as well. He becomes part and parcel to the sword. So the same as Soul Edge requires souls, it absorbs souls in order to gain more power, Soul Calibur does the same thing. In essence, they're exactly the same sword. They have the same goals, they just have different means of attaining those goals, which is not even the case because most of the time they do pretty much the same shady stuff, with just like a different perspective twist on it. So I believe that Soul Edge, or I could think that Soul Edge manipulated Algol into creating Soul Calibur so that it can empower Soul Edge himself. Because you see at one point Algol is wielding Soul Calibur and Soul Edge together, and I don't think that's actually the Hero King like overcoming the swords and using them to his own ends, or creating variations of the swords and using them to his own ends. I believe that is Soul Calibur trying to attain more power. And you can see Soul Calibur itself is not fighting being used alongside of Soul Edge. They're being used in unison. Their powers are completely complementary to one another. And there's no, like, you know, fight really going on between the two of them. Which is insane to me, because I don't... A lot of times you see Soul Edge or Soul Calibur taking on a persona in order to attain a certain goal. It's never to really defeat each other. It's mainly to defeat a power obstacle or something that's in their own way. So he used them both at the same time, right? And like obviously his essence is still trapped within them. That's why we hear the disembodied voice in Soul Calibur 7, because it's his essence that's trapped in the astral chaos. Maybe not a physical form, but who knows at this point. Could be recreated easily by one of the swords or both of the swords. And then we have the fact that I think the ultimate goal in 6 was to manipulate Aswell into creating the ultimate seed. A sword that's on par with both swords, or more powerful. Like the ultimate seed has been talked about from Aswell as being even more powerful than both of the swords combined. So the ultimate seed could be the realization... Well, what's a seed, right? A seed is like the smallest form of like a plant before like it grows. Like we use it in alliteration a lot to talk about something that comes from something so small and can grow into something gigantic as a tree. This could be used for making an idea or a person's personal growth, anything along those lines. So the ultimate seed could be used by Aswell for what he wants his purpose to be, but I believe he's being manipulated again by Soul Edge, and the ultimate seed may be a way to either A, create Aswell's like Algol's like body, or B, it could be a harness to contain the energies of both Soul Edge and Soul Calibur. And since Soul Calibur is actually merged with the essence of Algol, and Algol is under the control of Soul Edge, it wouldn't be easy, it wouldn't be hard, or it wouldn't be like a long shot to think that Soul Edge can manipulate the personalities into merging with himself, and then becoming the ultimate seed would just like completely make his power manifested fold over. Like we have no idea the incredible force of that power would be if the two swords were fused with the ultimate seed. So a lot of this could be background. We see like, because we see Algol sending them on missions that like you wouldn't really normally see. Like at first Algol was creating Soul Calibur in his own mind to fight against Soul Edge, right? And then he's using Soul Edge. And now you see that he's sending out the Swords and the Shepherds via Ishka Acht and Wan Gobak and all them to actually go ascertain the location of the missing shards of the evil sword. So why would he need this evil power if he is at the behest of the created Soul Calibur? If he created Soul Calibur, he would have more than enough energies and powers to be able to come back into this world and destroy Soul Calibur Soul Edge on his own. I think he's being used by Soul Edge, and I think Aswell is being manipulated as well. No pun intended. Which is why I think seeing them go against each other is part of the plan also. Like, I think the ultimate seed's ultimate goal is going to be to absorb Aswell as well. Absorb him, absorb whoever's wielding Soul Calibur at the time, and Soul Edge, try and get as much power as possible just so they can, like, ascertain their ultimate form. We see this a lot. Like, the Swords and Shepherds, I think, are ultimately going to be sacrifices to bring Algol back. Ishka Acht is a number in German, right? So, I mean, like, we see a lot of these, like, numerologies and things that are pointing towards that she's not an actual person, more like a doll, being that she doesn't even use her own fighting style. She transforms into previous bosses in Season 2 in order to fight herself. We see her as a completely different form in Soul Calibur Legends. There's just a lot to that character that screams puppet to me. Somebody who's set up to be a proxy leader, but is really just trying to be, just being a puppet to be manipulated behind the scenes. Think of like the Pains in Naruto being controlled by Nagato. That's the best way that I can describe that. But I think that they are indeed being manipulated, and they've done this stuff before, and I think that they're going to use the power of the evil shards that are within the manifested variations of the people of the Swords and Shepherds to feed their souls directly into Ultimate Seed or into Soul Edge himself or into Algol and merge all together. It's going to be like a madhouse, like something that we've never seen in Soul Calibur 4, and it may be a way of writing themselves into a corner until they defeat them and they all spread or whatever. But it would definitely be something to be fearful of, right? Because as well as finding the Soul Edge shards himself to try and power up that or create the Ultimate Seed, right? So they all have the same common goal of finding these shards. And Soul Calibur seems to be none the wiser to it, or is like apprehensive about doing anything about it, and that's because I think they're the same side of the, I mean, they're two sides of the same coin. I don't think they're direct opposition to each other. I think they are the same. So I don't know. It would make a lot of sense, being that the actions that Algol took from where he started and what he became. I know there's that old saying that says the path to hell is paved with good intentions, but in this case it's definitely manipulation, I believe. And I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below, or also if you have any other ideas pertaining to him yourself, or how you think things are going, or why the plot's being set up the way that it is. Any thoughts are always welcome in the comment section down below, guys. And as I always say, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.